Warframe. It's a game we love. We play it here and there. Recently, I took like 2 weeks off from the game because, well, other games launched, and I was enjoying them. And one of these said games was anime Warframe. And it got me thinking about a topic I usually bring up on stream. How Warframe, being what it is, a great game, but a great game without competition is quite lonely. Because till today, there isn't a single game that can actually challenge or compete with Warframe. One got slightly close, but fumbled so hard that it just became a meme at this point. But why would Warframe need competition? It's just like, if it's doing really good, especially with its numbers and players and all the great reviews, why does Warframe need the competition? Competition is always good for us players and the developers. This is something that people don't really understand. We should be rooting for a competitor, not because we want Warframe to die, but because we want Warframe to get better. Before I go over this, let me tell you how Warframe started from the bottom as something so unique that it set itself apart from your average sci-fi game to what it is now, so you understand where this sentiment comes from. So, the developers, Digital Extremes, or DE as we know them, were heavily involved with the release of Unreal Tournament 2004, co-developed with Epic Games, while also beginning early development on what would become their long team project, Dark Sector. You thought I was going to say Warframe, huh? I mean, that's what they were trying to pitch, but they had a little hiccup, and that's why we got Dark Sector. I mean, when we look at this trailer, you could clearly see the influences that would soon become Warframe. Funny enough, I actually own the PlayStation 3 version of this game. It's unopened and in mint condition, but never played it till to this day. I never knew it was by DE till I played Warframe. So DE took the early concept of Warframe to publishers, and every single one of them said, no. The fuck is this? Sci-fi? No, people want modern military shooters. This was peak Call of Duty era, you know, back in those days. And what's this? Space ninjas? It's too weird. Make it more like a Gears of War, you know? So DE, needing to pay the bills, caved. They made a completely different game called Dark Sector, which released in 2008. It was a generic brown and gray over-the-shoulder cover shooter. It wasn't great. It flopped. And that original awesome space ninja idea was dead.
Until
fast forward a few years to around 2012, DE is basically a work-for-hire studio, making games for other people like Darkness 2. They're running out of cash and options. Meanwhile, the free-to-play model is just starting to take off with games like, you know, like let's say League of Legends and all that. So the studio heads, Steve Sinclair and the crew, basically had break glass in case of emergency moment. They decided to pull out that old Dark Sector idea off the shelf, dust it off, make it themselves, no publisher, because they'd self-publish as a free-to-play game. This was a massive gamble. They poured the last of their company's money into this. When Warframe launched in its open beta in 2013, it was bare bones. I mean, you had like 2 or 3 tile sets to run around in, a handful of Warframes, and the gameplay loop was just grinding. Do you remember Warframe Stamina? Yeah, Warframes had stamina. And that was pretty much it. It was repetitive, buggy, and a lot of the gaming press just ignored it, thinking it was just another cheap pay-to-win cash grab. They were literally surviving week to week, using the money from the Founders Program to pay for the servers and keep the lights on.
So then eventually, I guess, the publisher money didn't come in, so
sure didn't.
Self-funded it? Or?
That's correct. Sure did not. And I remember in November, we saw this, it was MechWarrior. And they had, if you're a fan of MechWarrior, why don't you, it was like the Kickstarter, right? Crowdfunding. Buy a Founders Pack and support the game that you want to see made, right? And it's like an interesting identity choice. Well, let's do that, we thought, you know? And I remember running into the office in November and right into the middle of a programmer meeting. They're all talking about problems. And I just burst in the door. We made $1,500 yesterday, you know? And they looked at me. I mean, it's not enough to pay them. right? That's not enough to keep the lights on. But my God, the look of shock on their face that people would actually pay for Warframe, you know, they were astounded. And so we just built it from there.
So big ups to anyone who bought the Excalibur Prime Pack back in the days. Without them, well, Warframe wouldn't exist. And the weird Warframe players need to stop crying about them not having Excal Prime. You don't deserve it. Period. But what did Warframe do differently? You know, that secret sauce that set them apart. They knew they couldn't compete with AAA marketing. So they did two things that were revolutionary at the time. Radical transparency. You know, the dev streams and all that. Instead of hiding behind a PR team, the lead developers just got on the couch, turned on the webcam, just like what I'm doing right now, and talked with their players. Every week. I miss those days. They showed off concept art that was just a sketch on a napkin. They showed half-finished levels that were just gray boxes. They openly talked about their failures and what they were struggling with. They laughed at their own bugs.
Yeah, show the bug, just for a second.
There it was. If I switch weapons.
Also, going over all of this, doing the research, makes me wonder, man, I miss the old days. They were different. DE was different. Anyway, this built an insane amount of trust. The community didn't feel like customers. They felt like partners in building the game. The community director, Reb, became the face of the game and earned the nickname Space Mom because she was so involved. And because she was also the voice actress of, you know, Lotus, the Space Mom.
Like a radial suck.
More radial suck.
We want some radial suck. Was it doing a radial suck?
Ball fondlers. Ball underscore fondlers 999. You have won 1,000 platinum.
When they decided to go free-to-play, everyone was terrified of pay to win. DE's motto became ninjas play for free. Because here's the thing. Everything that affects gameplay, weapons, characters, mods can be earned in the game for free. It might take a long time, like Prime Surefooted, but you never have to pay. But seriously, can we fuck off with the Citrine farm, regular Korra farm, Equinox taking 156 hours? Sorry, little tangent. But the real game changer, you can trade premium currency, the platinum, with other players. So technically, the annoying farm can be less annoying because, you know, if you farm platinum, you just buy the item. I mean, think about that. If you're a free player, you can grind for a rare prime set, mod, whatever, then sell it to a paying player for platinum. Then you can use that premium currency to buy whatever you want. It created a fully player-driven economy where free players and paying players needed each other. It was, and still is, brilliant. The game grew slowly for years, just adding more stuff. But the moment everyone realized this game was something special was in 2015, with the update, The Second Dream.
Who destroyed the Orokin? Your way of life. Who do you hunt, Shadow, to cleanse your despair in their blood?
I mean, up to this point, the story was, well, there wasn't one. You were just a space ninja. You don't know how you became a space ninja. This quest, it changed everything. It had this massive, mind-blowing plot twist that recontextualized the entire game. I won't spoil it, just in case, you know? It was the first time a free-to-play grindfest had a genuine, cinematic, emotional story. That's when the cult following exploded into the massive community it is today. So it went from a failed 2004 demo that nobody wanted to a buggy, bare-bones beta that was living on life support, to one of the biggest, most loved games on the planet. All because they trusted their players and weren't afraid to be weird. I mean, they're still pretty weird. And it's also a buggy mess. I don't think they got that fixed, but we don't talk about that. And this brings us to the original topic of this video. Warframe is in a super weird, lonely spot, right? It's been running for over a decade. It's built this massive, complicated, weird, beautiful, and buggy-ass mess of a thing. But the truth is, it has zero real competition. And that's where the complacency comes in. Look, DE's great. But when you're the only game in your exact niche, this crazy fast PvE third-person sci-fi horde shooter, like, what's the rush? You get me? From long-standing bugs, massively confusing new player experiences, granted, they've slowly been improving on that. Then you have abandoned content islands. Remember Arkwing? Remember Conclave? Yeah, about that. They'll just move on to the next big shiny idea because they don't have to make the old stuff perfect. I mean, look at the buggy state of Eidolons and the planes itself. They aren't being pushed. When your only competition is yourself, you can get a bit, comfortable. You see, competition opens the possibilities of innovation or improvement on existing systems. Imagine a game comes in and says, hey, we do Warframe's movement, but our missions aren't just kill enemy and defend target. We have real, complex boss fights, mechanics, things that respect your time, and no 24-hour crafting. If that happened, Warframe would have to respond, and it would be awesome. Of course, there was a challenger that fumbled real hard. The first Descendant, or the, Gunner frame, was supposed to be the first real shot. It's on Unreal Engine 5. It's a looter shooter. It has characters with cool powers. And it just failed to stick the landing. But why? Why? Why was this the case? Because it copied the look of a sci-fi shooter, but it had no soul. And of course, it was by Nexon. Need I say more? Anyway, the characters' powers were fine, but the magic just wasn't there. Plus, the story was so generic, forgettable, almost as if an AI wrote it. And the monetization felt way more aggressive right out the gate. Again, because, Nexon. And now here comes Do It Night Abyss. And you look at it, and it's like, yeah, that's anime Warframe. You watch the gameplay, and it's not inspired. It's pretty much a copy. They have the wall running, sliding bullet jump moves. The mission types are literally copy-paste. They have a literal mesa. I mean, you see where I'm going? That's the problem. It's failing to be its own game. It's not trying to compete with Warframe on gameplay. It's trying to pull in players from across the gacha and Warframe side, and it is working. But for how long? The lesson these competitors keep failing to learn is you can't beat Warframe by just being Warframe. With a different coat of paint, you have to beat Warframe by being better at something, or by offering an idea, a new idea that's never seen before, or twisting it. So far, Warframe just keeps coasting, still a league on its own, and this brings us to the current state of Warframe. It's pretty much a gaming success story. It's an industry anomaly. It's the tale of a quirky, ambitious project that was rejected by every publisher, and against all odds, carved out a completely unique and dominant niche. What I'm getting at here is that the biggest threat is comfort. When you're the market leader, the greatest challenge is often internal complacency. The absence of good competition means there's a diminished urgency to innovate or fix legacy problems, potentially leaving an opening for a truly innovative rival down the line. I mean, currently, DE is split between working on Soulframe and working on Warframe. So the release schedules for updates, you can feel the delay. Sorry, the DE-lay. Get it? Because DE, never mind. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, again, the story isn't over. The challenge now is whether Warframe can maintain its momentum, especially with its upcoming December update, and push its own boundaries without an external threat forcing its hand. These are my thoughts on this. I do hope you kind of get the idea and enjoyed what you've learned here. Not sure what else to say, but I do hope you enjoyed and, learned something from this video. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and other games. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now. Bye. You see, I did a face cam video. Huh? It's been a while.